Revenge films.
My name's Terry Smith. Because of a certain incident, I left my wife and son a year ago, but even to this very day, I don't regret my decision of having done so. After having graduated from university, I went back to my hometown, found a job there, and also ended up marrying my ex-wife there. Soon after we got married, we ended up having our son, and I was enjoying the peaceful life that we'd made for ourselves. The days went on without anything dramatic happening, and I liked that. One day, my boss came to me and told me that he wanted me to transfer long-term due to our company setting up a new branch in a different city. In all honesty, I wanted my family to come with me. But my son had only just started elementary school and had just started to make friends. So my wife and I decided that it would be best for all of us if I went alone. I had to help build up our new branch from scratch, so I was super busy every day. And sometimes, there were even months where I couldn't go back to my hometown in order to see my family. Even though work was challenging and demanding, I was always motivated to work harder thanks to my son's kind words.
I miss you, Dad. I want to see you soon.
Whenever he would say that to me, I'd become energized again to do my best. I won't be too busy soon, so until then, wait patiently with your mom for me to return, okay? I'll see you both again soon enough.
Sure thing, Dad.
3 months passed from that day. Hey, Terry! I haven't heard from you in a long time, so I'm guessing that means you're still not back in your hometown. Out of the blue, my good friend from my hometown contacted me. That's right! I've been able to go back for 6 months now, but I'll get to go back soon, considering that my work over here should settle down a bit soon enough. When I know I'll be visiting again, I'll contact you, okay? So let's meet up for drinks then. Oh, okay. What's with that reply? Is something up? It's just that last Saturday I was at the mall with my family, and that's when I saw your wife and son with another man. And your son was holding hands with the man. What? I swear that man didn't look anything like you, but I thought maybe I was just seeing things. I wanted to make sure if it was you or not. That's why I called you just now. Considering the fact that you just told me you haven't been back here for the past 6 months, must mean that that man definitely wasn't you, right? What's happening? After the phone call, I still couldn't believe what he said to me. After I thought about it a little longer, I remembered something. A little while ago, when I was on the phone talking to my son, I remembered how he called his mom, Mama. Until I transferred, our son would always call me and my wife, Dad and Mom. So I remember thinking it was a little weird that he started calling his mom Mama instead of Mom. Even though I'd heard from my good friend that my wife might not have been faithful to me while I was away, I couldn't go back straight away in order to find out. So I decided to hire a private detective and find out the truth for me. And it turns out my wife had indeed been cheating on me. Together with finding out that my wife had been seeing another man, I also found out personal information about said man. His name was Mo, and he transferred to my hometown for work. Apparently, he'd met my wife through her part-time job of working at a supermarket. Also, apparently Mo was making our son call him Papa and was pretty much living in our house. Of course, all this time, I had no idea that any of this was happening. So I was always doing my best to save money to send back to my family by cooking by myself and never going out or never hanging out at bars. I did my best to focus solely on working hard and providing for my family all this time. Yet my wife hadn't been doing the same, and finding that out broke me. Soon after, I was finally able to take a few days off of work and decided to go back to my hometown just in time for my son's birthday. I hadn't told my wife that I'd be coming home for her son's birthday, but I decided to do so, and also bought him chocolate cake in order to surprise him. When I opened the door, I saw the three of them celebrating my son's birthday together with a birthday cake already. They all looked so shocked to see me standing in the doorway. The living room was gorgeously decorated, and there was so much delicious looking food on the table that I presume my wife had made for our son's birthday. I'd never seen her put so much work to cook while I was home, ever. On the table, there was also a drawing by my son of my wife, himself, and Mo, looking like one big happy family. On the picture, he had written, "I love Mama and Papa." I could tell through that drawing alone that my son didn't see me as his dad anymore.
You've got it wrong. This isn't what it looks like.
My wife started to say. Are you sure about that? Because apparently you were holding hands at the mall the other day, too. I couldn't keep my anger in any longer.
No, it's not what you're thinking. He's just here so as not to make our son sad. And his dad's away on business. There's nothing other than that going on here.
Both my wife and Mo wouldn't simply admit to what they'd done while I was away. I don't have any children of my own. And I guess I just started to think of your son as my own. But I guess I overstepped. Sorry about that, he said, looking all apologetic. You don't have any children of your own? Then what do you have to say for your wife that's looking after your 3 children back in your hometown? Wait, what do you know about all that? With that, his face went pale. Apparently, Mo had said to my wife that his ex-wife had wanted to get a divorce from him because they couldn't make any children together. He had gotten close to my wife by making her pity him that he'd always wanted children, but couldn't have them in his previous marriage. And he also told her that if he was able to look after our son as his own, then he'd never let our son feel lonely ever again. It obviously freaked my wife out that Mo had actually been lying all this time, and that he indeed had a family back in his hometown. After that, I told them I'd be suing for damages, and that I wanted to get divorced straight away. After hearing this, they both started to grovel to me.
No, I don't want to get divorced. I was just lonely because you wouldn't come back to see us.
I'm sorry for what I've done! Your wife and son just seem so lonely! They repeated empty excuses like this to me, but I didn't have the patience to listen to them. Then my son started crying and came up to me and said,
My new papa buys me presents and takes me to the amusement park. He even stays with me until I fall asleep every night. I hate it if you're making my mama and papa sad. Go away, Dad!
He told me loud and clear how he didn't want me around, and that he only needed his mama and papa. That was the last thing I ever heard my son say to me. Soon after that, I got my lawyer on my case in order to get Mo to pay me for the damages he'd caused me, and also to settle getting divorced from my wife, and to not have to pay for child support for my son because of her infidelity. After the way my son had acted towards me, I was fine with never seeing him again. During our divorce proceedings, my wife didn't bring her son with her, on account of him saying that he didn't want to see his dad while dad made his papa leave him. His understanding was that papa could do no wrong by him, but dad was the one that broke the peaceful family up. My wife tried to explain to him over and over again the truth of what had happened, but he refused to listen. He also started to lash out around this time, so my wife thought it was best for her to leave him at home during our divorce proceedings. My wife and I had been together for 10 years, and my son and I had had 6 great years together. During those years, I tried my best to not only work hard for my family, but to help out around the house too. But I guess that wasn't enough for either my wife or my son, because they forgot about me in the span of only 3 months. After getting divorced, I completely moved to the city that I had been transferred to originally. Even though I started my new life there, I still can't forget how my son told me that he didn't want me in his life exactly a year ago. I guess for my son, the day when I went back home was supposed to be the best day of his life, but in his eyes, I was the one that completely ruined it for him. I guess for him, that was too much, and that he was greatly hurt by what had happened. I think I'll never be able to forget the sadness and anger that riddled his little face that day. I remember my ex-wife had asked me,
Why did you have to come back to our son's birthday of all days?
but all I could say back to her was that it was normal for a boy's dad to come back with a present on his birthday. And I even reminded her that I told her a little while earlier that I might be able to visit soon. But to that she'd said,
You should look after your health and stay over there if you want. It's up to you.
Looking back on it now, it was pretty obvious that she didn't care about whether I went back to see them or not. Originally, the day I went back to my hometown, I was gonna let Mo leave our house if he was there, and then my ex-wife and I would be able to talk things out. But I guess my ex-wife didn't think I'd be going back on the day of her son's birthday, so she invited Mo over in the evening, and because it was the right time, I think things ended up escalating like it did. After I got Mo to pay me for the damages he'd caused me, Mo's wife also got my ex-wife to pay her for the damages she caused her. Shortly after everything settled down, Apparently, Mo went back to live with his family. His wife forgave him for what he'd done, and he had promised her to do better from now on. As for my ex-wife, at first she didn't have much to say in terms of getting divorced from me, because I think she'd imagined that after we got divorced, she would go on to live happily with Mo. But obviously, she soon found out that that would be happening, seeing as Mo decided to go back to his family. So then she started to grovel to me again, saying that she didn't want to get divorced from me. She knew things would never work out between us, but she kept trying not to get divorced anyway. She couldn't even use our son against me in order not to get divorced, because it was obvious that he didn't want to see me anymore. When she finally signed the papers, she handed them over to me and said,
With this, our son no longer has a dad. How sad for him.
To that I said, You're the one that brought this whole situation upon all of us. And with that, she stopped talking. Even after everything, I still feel guilty for having had left my family. But luckily for me, I found a kind new girlfriend who reminds me that I wasn't the one that left anyone. I was the one that was left first. My girlfriend now is actually a coworker of mine that transferred to the new branch I now work at full time. We actually knew each other from before I got divorced, and I'd shown her pictures of my family before. Obviously, nothing happened between us until after my divorce had been finalized. She was always there to listen to me when I was going through the hardest time in my life. Naturally, I was drawn to her kindness, and we started seeing each other. In time, I'd like to repay her for having helped me through such tough times.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.